You've watched from the beginning, or perhaps you didn't, and in that case, you are a loser. You watched as Hell Dragon became Penguin God in a one-on-one deathmatch against Chill Penguin. You watched Dectalon beat Launch Octopus in a rousing game of Battleship. You stood in awe of the amazing Russian cursing skills of Baronian as he took only 6 videos to kill Stinkermillion. You laughed at Throttle Rimstone's dismay at Flame Mammoth's stage being frozen over. You observed with rapt attention as Canadian Colin wondered just what the hell a Boomer Whiner is supposed to be. You stared in incredible awe of sheer manliness displayed as I clipped the wings of Storm Eagle. You cringed at 2X Slick's bad jokes while he beat Spark Mandrill. You barely heard Strident Silence as he lived up to the name while fighting Armored Armadillo. And then there were the final 4. Throttle Rimstone read bad fan fiction while taking down Bow Spider. Almacy took over at the last second to blow up the room boss Rainda Bainda. Seriously, what kind of name is that for a boss? Helldragon struggled horribly to take down the D-Rex, but earned himself manly points by killing it with the X-Buster only. Spot on, Helldragon. Due to popular vote, only one man can brave the final stage and take down the big bad himself, Sigma. That man is me, Dark Chiron. Let the battle begin! To make this fight completely fair to Sigma, I decided to cast off all the power-ups and upgrades that were gotten throughout this, because really, using all the special items is really unfair to him. And he kind of knows that the fight's going to be unfair because he puts his long vertical shaft to try and tire me out, but it's not going to work. And he also has these caterpillars here, which I can only surmise are the silkworms that he uses to get the silk to sew all of his dresses. Yes, he is a cross-dresser. And oh, look there, Throttle Rimstone, I skipped the cutscene. Big deal, do you want to fight about it? Oh man, seriously, this game, is there a story to this game? I'm not sure that there is. I mean, there's a little backstory before the credits, and there's a few times where the villains taunt you because they say you were weak and I'm strong, except for they die. So really, what plot is there to this game that I can't just skip? Is it really worth watching? Anyway, all you missed was Sigma saying, I'm too much of a pansy to fight you, so I'm going to let my dog do it. Which is actually a good idea, because as you see from this fight, dog is the only thing that actually hurts me. Sigma's 2 forms are actually really easy and tedious, so I'm just going to speed up the fights against them. This first form is Sigma using a lightsaber, which, since he's not a Jedi, is completely useless, especially since the only attack he seems to have is a wall jump going back and forth. Yeah, Sigma's a real big joke in this game. He's really not difficult at all. And since this fight is really long and tedious, nothing's going on, I have to go on a tangential conversation. So, lightsabers, I'm going to talk about General Grievous. What the hell was up with him? Why was he ever a threat to any Jedi? Since he doesn't have any force powers, couldn't they just like force push him around? He's basically just a robot, and they did that to the robots throughout the entire series, so why didn't they just force push him around and kill him? I never really got that. And what kind of name is Grievous anyway? I mean, the name department was really just bankrupt in that whole series. Grievous, Sidious, Maul, Tyrannus. Why not just name the guy Evil Dude? But anyway, we're on to the final form, Velgader Sigma. This one's actually semi-difficult because he took his tedium and combined it with Velgader's difficulty and just kind of made it into a mildly annoying and sometimes annoying fight. But you can complain at me here like, oh, you did it the cheap way, you stay on the hands the entire time. Well, screw you, man. Just screw you. Why don't you go ahead and do a buster run of this guy and see how well you do with it. Plus, this is the way you're supposed to fight him. You're not supposed to stay down there the entire time. I mean, if you did, this fight would take like a half an hour. And that's just ridiculous. I mean, I sped this up at twice speed, so you have to imagine how long it took me to actually beat this. Plus, I mean, I dodged his attacks a couple of times through here, so I obviously know how to do it. There's no point in dragging it out just to artificially make this guy more difficult than he has to be. Plus, I mean, staying on the hands itself is a fairly difficult thing. Yeah, his face will hurt you sometimes. The claws are harder to dodge if you're on the claw already. And, yeah, so that's really all there is to this guy. I mean, every Mega Buster shot takes 1 damage, so he does take forever. And, of course, like all Mega Man bosses, end bosses anyway, the only weapon that really hurts him is the short-range weapon, which would be the Rolling Shield in this case. So, if you want to use the Rolling Shield against this guy, go ahead. That's probably the smarter move than what I'm doing here. But with that, he should die here in just a moment. Yes, he's dead. He blows up. Ha ha! And of course, he makes some kind of bullcrap thing about, oh, I can't believe it. We're gonna be powerful and da 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 da. It doesn't matter. Anyways, in true game fashion, classic game fashion, his castle explodes like in Contras and Castlevanias. And that is it. Here is about the only bit of story there is in this game. And as for the story, I just have to mention something. Was it ever mentioned at any point that he was in a floating fortress? I mean, I know he was in a fortress, but was it ever mentioned that it was floating over the ocean? I don't think it was, which really makes me just back up my theory on the story on this game does not matter whatsoever. And anyone who thinks that it does or it's important is really just a little bit silly. All the people who write fan fictions for this crap, I mean, there's no story here. You're Mega Man, some robots need to get killed, you go and kill them, that's the game. That's all I have to say. And of course, I still have this on double speed, so you can imagine just how long these unskippable credits take. And here's all the endgame bosses. I don't know what they're trying to do here. They're trying to implement a story, but it just doesn't work. And why do you need a story anyway? I mean, real men don't need stories. They just need a gun and something to shoot. All you kids these days and your newfangled 3Ds and plot lines and epic stories and stuff, we don't need that. In my day, we had Super Nintendo and Genesis. There were no plots and just gameplay, and we liked it. We loved it, in fact, and it was better. It's always been better than the stuff they have now. And if you think differently, you're Oh yeah, and of course there's this part of the game where Sigma reveals that he didn't die and he's actually going to come back and kill you all. I don't get it. We're supposed to think that Zero died because the bottom half of his body blew up, but Sigma can come back even though he completely exploded, had a building collapse on him, and then sank into the ocean. Yeah, right.